Welcome back, everybody, to the Crypto Conversion Podcast. Great episode this week with Julian Altquist, talking about the generation of saints, AI saint images. It was great to get a Catholic guest, so thank you, Connor, for helping us out with that one. That was a great treat, and he's delightful, very just right up mine and Matt's alley, at least. So that great episode for the people to watch. Something a little bit different, something especially for the Catholics, but not exclusive to just Catholics.
No, absolutely
not the Eucharist. Anybody can partake of this episode and this podcast.
No, he just wants to baptize AI, so it's open to all Christians.
Yeah, hey, baptism.
Yes, yep.
They're all bad.
So
right,
but. News this week. So Blackrock ETF announcement. That really kind of.
But it was fake.
It's not an. Oh yeah.
The ETF, the announcement turned out to be a false announcement, but it still spurred the bull market.
Well, I think it was the fake announcement, and then I think that led people to dig, and it was I forget what the site is called. It's like BTCC. Or some, they filed for it months ago.
Yeah, so it wasn't.
It was a Cointelegraph. The tweet came from Cointelegraph.
Yes, it did. Yeah,
that said it was the imminently approved or was approved. Yeah. Everybody went crazy, and then it was like that was false information. But
it was fake.
And then everything dropped back down to 28, 29K. But now we're up to 35K. We're testing 32. We haven't been here in a while, and where the market is right now to be testing this level is very interesting.
Yeah.
So I think it's obviously it was the fake news of the ETF made us jump up and back down, and then it was I forgot what site it was or what organization it was, but had listed the ticker of their ETF. And so, in preparation. And so that is causing everyone to speculate that it is coming very soon.
Yeah. And what I'll say is I hear everybody saying what it did is it made everybody realize that the ETF is imminent. And as soon as that gets approved, we're going bull territory. So everybody started buying beforehand. Now that's what everybody's saying. And I'll say that the crypto markets tend to have, a tendency to sometimes do the opposite. So keep this in mind. If the ETF doesn't get approved, hard to say where we're going. But
no, for sure, it is very hard to say where we're going, and it's interesting too because different states right now are coming out with different staking regulations. Like Wisconsin just banned basically all staking.
Really?
So that I know. Yeah. No, it was the strange thing my chiropractor was showing me. Coinbase sent an email to the customers, and he was like, look at this. I'm like, I didn't even know anything about that. That is weird. So that's something I need to dive a little more into before I start talking about it as news. But that's coming up. Depending on the state that you're in, crypto is getting looked at differently from a
good thing you live in Minnesota right now,
standpoint. Right? I know. Well, that's right. I'm right.
What do you think about Tom Emmer? He was going for Speaker of the House and didn't make it, but.
I mean, he's okay. He's a great ally for us in our community, but I'm not going to be wearing, Emmer for speaker shirts anytime soon. I find most of our Congress people here in Minnesota to be fairly ineffective and more go with the flow than actually try to do anything. But that's another conversation for another day. Nobody really cares what I think about politics. So,
Well, what do we think about not politics, but politically related? There was a lot of claims that Hamas was getting funded with a lot of cryptocurrency, and then so the Wall Street Journal published this report. And Nick Carter, I saw, along with I believe Balaji, and a lot of people jumped on this bandwagon, but basically said that was entirely false, completely false story. No proof for any wallet addresses that were associated with Hamas that were having, I forget what the number was. It was somewhere in the millions. So that was a big story this week. What was the kind of takeaways from that? I'll tell you what my takeaway was, but I'm curious what y'all's was.
Sure. I would be surprised.
I was Gosh, I remember seeing something, and I don't know if it was Hamas specifically or some other group that was like, "Hey, don't donate in Bitcoin because it is traceable." And
Exactly.
I don't know
Right.
if it was, yeah, if it was them or it was somewhere else, and people were debating that. They threw that into the ring, but I haven't followed this story too closely.
Okay. Well, that story was beforehand, and then this story came out, Wall Street Journal, and then basically it was proven false, and people have been calling Wall Street Journal to retract a statement, and they're refusing to.
What didn't
And it looks
Binance
like
did
they're aligned with Elizabeth Warren there, so there's maybe some interesting
Yes,
political correct
didn't
connections.
something going on.
Didn't Binance do something about some wallets that were believed to be associated with Hamas? Like, didn't they restrict some access?
It's possible. I think Binance is kind of in the middle of their own, obviously
War of
court
attrition.
cases. So I haven't heard too much about Binance recently, but that sounds like
Mhm.
something that probably would have done. But I thought it was kind of an interesting conversation recently because, and I'm going to say like right off the bat, like I'm not by any means a supporter of Hamas, but
Mhm.
I do think it's kind of curious. People are saying, oh no, like people are sending money to Hamas. We have to ban cryptocurrency. And it's like, okay, but this is kind of the point of cryptocurrency, right? Like you should be able to do with your money, as you see fit, right? Maybe you don't not donate to terrorist organizations, but by the same flip of the coin, ideally cryptocurrency is going to give people, sovereignty to control their money, as opposed to the current system, which says, hey, you can send your money here, but you can't send your money to the Canadian truckers, or, you can make political donations to, our campaigns, right? In the case of FTX, but you can't make donations to said Christian organization. So as much as I don't support Hamas, I think it's kind of a weird conversation to be having, and people saying, "Oh no, they're not sending money to Hamas." It's like, but cryptocurrency does allow that, and technically we do kind of support, self sovereignty.
Yeah,
So weird conversation.
it
It
is.
is, because then you start going in the weeds of, like, what North Korea does, or what any country who's considered an adversary does.
Yeah.
It's kind of a yeah, it's different. I'm seeing Gensler. There's gonna be some more regulation on the space. I don't know to what extent though, but there's gonna be some more stuff that happens. But until it happens, I have yet to believe it. I think it has a lot to do with just saying the usual song and dance where most cryptocurrencies act as securities, and um, yeah, to a certain extent, some of them do act as securities,
Mm.
but I would argue that a lot of them aren't at the same time. So
Um,
that's the kicker.
I don't know if I mentioned it in here, but I had seen a story about the there was a ETH Futures ETF that was approved.
In Europe.
Again, I don't remember if we mentioned it here. No, Europe got a spot Bitcoin ETF, which is
Oh,
kind of
okay.
funny to think about that we're fighting for it and they already have one. But no, an ETH Futures ETF was approved here in this country, or a number of
Okay.
them were. Um, it didn't lead. There were a few people on Twitter who were like hoping it would lead to, a mini bull run, but it didn't. It really didn't lead to anything. Um, Again, Bitcoin has had futures ETFs apparently since I think 2021 is when they were first
Mm,
approved. Again, here in the US. Um,
yeah.
but anyway, the as we're talking about the SEC and naming things as securities, the fact that it's a futures ETF makes, people were saying, "Hey, are they implying that they don't view ETH as a security?" Because futures contracts are in the realm of the CFTC, not the SEC. Um, I don't know. I don't know
Mm.
if you guys had caught the ETH futures thing, but anyway, just on Brandon's point about more regulation coming in securities, it seems, I don't know, this at least seems to be evidence in one direction that they might not be viewing ETH as a security.
Very interesting. Yeah, a lot of developments this week, and I think everybody has a lot to be paying attention to with the Bitcoin bull run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One other possible reason for the bull run is the BitVM news, right? Just to
I don't think that
throw
means the
that
market
in
at
here.
all, but A lot of
I think the
developments on
whole
BitVM.
market's
Did we talk
falling
about
now.
that last episode though? I think we did, right? Did we
We
touch
did.
on
Yeah,
that
we
at
We
all?
talked a
mentioned
little
it a
bit
little bit.
about it with
Yeah.
BitVM.
Okay.
Yeah.
People have to pay
So,
attention to that space, but Matt's been popping off on that recently. He's been helping with
yeah,
some of the
I tried
development
to,
behind the scenes.
take
So
some
we're gonna
social.
maybe we have to do an episode on this.
Yeah. Hey, maybe we could get Super Testnet back, or
Let's bring
maybe
it back. Maybe talk about
this Robin Linus guy who came up with the idea. But Super Testnet is he's very much in the space and all of the BitVM conversations, and so
I'll take
anyway,
Super
just kind of fun
Testnet.
to
I would
see
take
what's going
Super
on there.
Testnet as our the first repeat guest.
We need to help him
day.
with his podcasting equipment, though. Maybe I'll send him some.
Yeah,
things.
that's true. Yeah, it wasn't the strongest, but what he lacked in equipment, he had in information and just
That guy is
overall
so smart.
experience.
He's
Like
great.
I was floored that episode.
Absolutely.
That was one of the best ones. Shout out.
Well,
to
this is a great episode as well, so I'm super excited to be sharing this
Yep.
with people. But yeah, listening,
No, for
Julian's coming up.
Yeah, so enjoy it. More news to come, I'm sure, but we just wanted to at least get on here and talk about the Bitcoin bulls, and hopefully some people are reaping the benefits of this. Don't this what's the word you say? Like, I just hope people were buying when it was in the 20Ks, because this is what everybody talks about. It's like, oh, like now's the time to jump on it. Be patient. Don't do anything rash. Make sure you're making wise decisions that you can afford. If you miss this run, there will be other ones. Be patient with yourself. Do what's measured and enjoy it for those of you that are able to enjoy it. So hopefully everybody catches the episode with Julian, and we will see you next week.